The 49ers season will continue in Seattle this weekend. But before we get there, how did Brock Purdy get so many explosive plays against the Eagles? And just how good was Eric Kendricks? We'll break it all down on today's Gold Standard podcast. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. That man is Johnny Dell from the Johnny Dell Football Academy. We like to call this the demonetization station because this is the show where we dive into the film and the NFL takes all of our money. Johnny, how are you doing on this fine Thursday?
I'm doing well. The 49ers, we are still playing. There are, 24 teams that are sitting at home right now that their fan bases are waiting to get updates on what kind of mojitos their players are ordering in Cancun. But we are getting updates on whether or not Fred Warner might play this Saturday. They're being very mum about this, Rob. I don't know what to think.
When they asked Fred, could you play? And he was like, well, I'm just going to take it one day at a time. I was like, oh, okay. That's where we are.
Yeah, and the clips that come out, I mean, I get it. They're not full speed reps. It's walkthroughs. It's limited participation in practices. But the way he's moving just makes you think. It makes you think. If it came down to them needing an emergency kind of second, third linebacker out there, is this really a step down in any way from Curtis Robinson? You just have to ask yourself that.
I cannot wait. Can you imagine if Fred Warner is the one leading them out of the tunnel? Man, I don't think it's accidental that they activated Warner's practice window this week right after George Kittle goes down. Like, I think they recognized the boost that Warner and his energy would provide.
100%. And you know, I went live on my show on Monday, and I think I said I think that Fred Warner will get activated later today or tomorrow. And because it was just looking at it, 3-week window that would leave them until the week before the Super Bowl, which is the week that they're not doing a lot of practices and everything anyways, right? It's just walkthroughs at that point. They do all the game planning the week before if they were to make it to the Super Bowl. So I think they were looking at it of, we're going to know by that point whether Fred would be active. And so it made sense to open it, but it just, you know, it always gives you that little bit of hope on a team that needs an injection of leadership. They need an injection of energy. They need that an injection of accountability on the defense, communication on the defense. They have come a long way. Seeing the difference just that we've seen over the last 6 quarters of Eric Kendricks and what this defense looks like with him on the field compared to Tatum Bethune, just everybody's playing better when he's on the field. So just imagining that with Fred Warner, it starts to get you real excited.
Absolutely. You have every reason to be excited. And even, as you said, excited about Eric Kendricks. We're going to get into some of his plays a little bit later, but we're starting with Brock Purdy against the Philadelphia Eagles. Some of his plays, the good, the bad from Mr. Brock Purdy. Let's start with the good, Johnny, because it didn't take long for us until we got to see it.
Yeah, so it was the second play of the game. Now, I'm going to start out with the first play of the game because I did a preview episode last week. I had taken a long look at Vic's defense, and one thing that I noticed just resoundingly was first down. Vic loves to run what's called cover 9. That we have cover 3, and then cover 9. Cover 3 is when you have a safety that's down in the box on the strong side. So it's what we call a strong side rotation of cover 3. Cover 9 is a weak side rotation. If you play Madden, it's cover 3 weak is what they call it. But generally, to keep it clear for nomenclature, it's generally referred to as cover 9. So there's George Kittle. He's to the offense's left. Mike Epps is to the offense's right. defenses left. And so you'll notice that they're kind of lurking around here, and you're going to see he starts coming down into the box. This is something they do over and over again. They run this cover 9, so it's cover 3. So you get your 3 deep, and then you get your 4 underneath, and they love to keep the weak side linebacker as the guy that comes down. And he tends to go, or weak side safety, down into this curl flat area. They like it for matchups against running backs and some tight ends if they come across the field into this area. That's where they like that matchup of those safeties coming weak side. So all this will make sense here in a second. You're going to see them run a toss play here. Okay, this was one of those plays. They literally were just using it, confirm this is what Fangio runs. Because if you remember from the broadcast, they immediately went to the line and ran the second play.
Quick, yeah.
And that was because Vic Fangio, after first down, he runs a lot of variations of quarter, half, or half, quarter. And if people want to see a really, really detailed breakdown of that with a deep dive by a guy who has been a consultant for Vic, go watch Brett Coleman's video, How Not to Die. He goes deep into Fangio's system with quarter, half, and half, quarter. And all that to say, they do these in split fields. There's going to be one side that's half, and there's going to be another side that's quarters. And this can change based upon a check they'll have of what receiver they want to take away. They'll do certain things of where they're lined up. So you stress this communication. You run that first play, you get them in cover 9, you stress the communication. Now you go right to the line. You're trying to keep them from communicating across the board. Here's where everybody's going to be. And you'll see what this causes, because now, again, you have George Kittle. They flipped the formation. You have George Kittle over here, and you have Juszczyk here. So what did they do? Last time when these guys were flipped, Epps was down as the safety. Now you're going to see Reed Blankenship come down as the safety because they flipped the formation, flipped the side of the field. That toss was simply to set up this play. And so what we're going to see now, and there you see it, Reed Blankenship comes down, Epps is coming back. Now they have a communication bust in here, is that these guys are busting this because what you're going to have Quinyon Mitchell do is he thinks he's playing a quarters corner, and he thinks he's going to have Reed Blankenship out here as a quarters safety to his side. And we're going to run a little post route right through here. So this high tempo ends up causing a bust. You can see Epps is playing half field. So they're playing cover 2 to this side. You got a cloud over here, and you got a hook player. This is cover 2 to this side. This should be cover 4 to the other side. You should have a quarters corner. You should have Reed Blankenship as a quarters safety, and then you have a guy curl flat, and you have a 3 receiver hook. That's what should be happening here. But because they stress the communication, now Reed Blankenship's coming down, same assignment as their linebacker. This isn't Christian McCaffrey gravity, because this is Kyle Juszczyk. You end up getting 2 guys pick up Kyle Juszczyk right there. You see it? They can't come down. There's nobody in this area of the field. And so you vacated that. He's going to stem outside, then run the post, and you hit it because you stress their communication. You set it up. They saw something on film in all of this that we could run this, verify he's going to be in cover 9, stress their communication between snaps, get right to the huddle, and run this play. Absolutely 4D chess here by Kyle Shanahan to open up that area of the field. Them know it's going to be there. It's scripted. This is part of it. And you get a big explosive against a team that majors in not giving up explosives.
All of that is awesome and good. And thank you. I just simply cannot get over what the heck DeMarcus Robinson is doing after he catches the ball. Like, dude, just keep running. Just keep running. It's touchdown. Like, look at all the open space right there. Once you get past that guy, just go.
That guy, and Kittle ejects Quinyon Mitchell. You've got 5 yards, 4 yards on anybody else. Run to the end zone, man. And go get it.
Run to the pylon.
If he was scared that Zach Bond was going to catch up with him.
It was such a weird. It reminded me, honestly, of Michael Crabtree, because Crabtree knew he wasn't that fast. And so he would run after the catch like that in different ways. But still, nonetheless, a huge play. I love that Kyle, dialed it up right out of the gate. I think they really needed that after the terrible offensive performance they had against Seattle the week before. I mean, that was like more yards, it felt like, than they gained in the entire first half against the Seahawks.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and it was a game where you were worried, like, okay, the offense has to score enough. Like, you knew Philly was going to struggle offensively, but you also knew they were going to score some points. And it was, can this offense, with the lack of weapons, can they score on that Vic Fangio defense, a very talented defense? To me, I think they're the second best defense in the league, just because they were put in so many bad situations by their offense. Like, for real. I mean, they were winning games where Jalen Hurts did not complete a pass in the second half, multiple games. And so, like, to me, it's Houston is by a mile the best defense. And then it's Philadelphia, and right behind them, I think, is Seattle. I think it's really neck and neck. They're just a different style of defense, but Philly is a really good defense.
It was nice to see. And then I saw that play to Robinson, and I was like, uh-oh, we may have Kyle in his bag again for a playoff game. And that's kind of what we got.
Yeah, he really was. This was just a really unfortunate play. So we're going to talk a little bit about some bad Brock. This is a play we run. Gosh, I mean, this goes back to Mike Shanahan. He used to do this all the time. You run a play action fake, and then you run this drift route. It's a 6-step in route. Okay. And it breaks to daylight. This thing is wide open. And now I will say Brock said that he couldn't see through the pressure that was there. But this should be, 9 times out of 10, this should be a completion, because you're going to get this play action fake. You get Bond and Nakobe Dean to bite hard. You get Epps to bite hard. I mean, all these guys are biting hard on the run. You got all these guys coming down, and you're going to get Jennings wide open on this drift route. As Brock turns around, there is nothing there. He pulls the trigger on this. I mean, I would say 99 times out of 100. Now, you do have Jalen Carter is pushing through Jake Brendel, and he is in Brock's right side view. So he said that's what happened, that he couldn't see through there. This is the problem where then you can't force a play, because he's got Sky Moore on a swirl route. So this is going to break like it's a corner route, and it's going to sit down. That's what the swirl is. And it's just that I really don't like that throw against that corner. You're in a muddy pocket, winds, you're trying to throw it out here. Now, okay, and this is where I get irritated with people, because people will, like, I'll say, I'm about to say something, and I know the reaction is already going to happen. Brock should still not throw that ball. Yes, I am being 100% clear. Brock should not make this throw. Also, Sky Moore has got to work back to the ball on this. You can't sit there and wait for this ball to come to you, because when you do, that happens. The guy undercuts you. So, like, what you're going to see, that will be a running theme through these 2 interceptions. You have backup players not protecting their quarterback. That does not excuse the throw. It does not excuse the turnover. It takes 2 to tango here.
Yeah, everybody has their job in any given circumstance. Brock's job in that circumstance is not to make a bad situation worse, right? You miss the open guy. Okay, there's pressure in your face. Okay, don't make a bad situation worse. Take the sack and eat it. Now, once he throws the ball, Sky Moore's job on that play is to protect your quarterback, protect the ball, go back to the ball so you can put your body in between the ball and the defender, and he didn't do his part. So both guys didn't do their job.
100%. Like, once this ball is in the air, your job as a receiver is worst case scenario offensive PI. Like, that's your job. And every wide receiver coach will say that. And you can see here, that this is the pressure coming in. Brock wants to go here, but he just, for some reason, feels like he can't get the throw off. Jake Brendel's got to be a little tougher there. Just die a little slower. Right? That's been a running theme throughout a lot of the season. Die a little bit slower, Brock. You can't make a throw hopping off that, targeting that guy. I get Quinyon Mitchell had not had any interceptions through 32 games, but you still don't want to make that throw.
Nope. That was one of a couple decisions I didn't like that Brock made in the game. Thankfully, Robert Saleh's defense only gave up 3 points on 2 interceptions and kept the Niners in the game.
100%. And here's the second pick. So when what Philly's going to do in response, here we come out in that same formation we saw earlier, tight end attach, use check off a little bit. So now what they started to see is because we hit them at that explosive and we're stressing their communication, running the ball, they're just going to bring these guys on pressure. So they're going to say, okay, we're not going to let you do that stuff anymore. We're going to come up and we're going to match. We're not going to play these adjusting patterns. We're going to come with a 5-man rush. We're going to play fire zone on the backside, and we're going to have guys match routes here. The only route that Quinyon Mitchell won't match on this is if Tonjes runs a shallow crossing. Anything more vertical than 5 yards, Quinyon Mitchell matches. And the 49ers know this. They understand that's what's going on. Now, I will say that this is this is installed with George Kittle right here. So when they go through the installation, George Kittle is in here. He's out at this point in the game. You're going to run Juwan Jennings on a clearing route. You go play action. And then this is something we've seen the 49ers do for years, is run this high crossing route. We've seen how many times Debo or IU get these high crossing routes. George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, we've seen these guys do that. Okay. The issue I have here, one, not a great stem by Tonjes. You got to push. He's supposed to come inside here, and then he's got to work vertical and then cross the field. And it's for this exact reason, is you have to threaten this guy's outside hip just a little bit and push him vertical. So it's not a great route. He's going to push vertical late. Two, I don't love the timing of this call once George Kittle goes out. You have Quinyon Mitchell on Jake Tonjes. I do not love that matchup. It's going to be a matching zone. Like you're calling this. That is, to me, you're not putting your best, like that's just a bad personnel matchup across the board. So don't love that. That's where Brock, I go, okay, worst case, you should probably be checking this down to one of these two guys, because this is not your throw. There's a little bit of daylight, but the only way you make this throw is you've got to throw this flat, and you've got to keep Jake Tonjes between the ball and Quinyon Mitchell. And you also have to remember the wind is blowing this direction on the field. So he's trying to throw this into the wind across the field. Don't love this call. Don't love the decision. Don't love everything about this play. This was one of those I think everybody would like to have this one back, because you're going to see Jake Tonjes is going to see this, and he's going to start drifting away. Okay. What do we say about Sky Moore? You need to not let this guy undercut that. The wind's going to catch this ball, and it's going to hang up just a little bit. I don't love this as a matchup. Don't pull the trigger on the throw. Like, there's nothing about this play I like, because it's way too easy for a talented defense.
I like the fact that they were, wanting to push the ball down the field after the interception, but think about where they were in the game at this point. You had taken the lead. You had gotten a stop. You had gotten the ball back. It's the fourth quarter. You have the lead in the fourth quarter with a chance to control the ball and at bare minimum, pick up a couple first downs and really drain the clock a little bit. And instead, you don't get a field goal, you don't get another touchdown, and you don't drain the clock at all, because you immediately turn the ball over and give the ball back to Philadelphia in great field position. This one really could have hurt the 49ers.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when Brock lets this go, Jake Tonjes is at the 42, okay? Just remember that for where Jake Tonjes ends up when this ball is intercepted. He's at the 39. He drifted 3 yards back. And where is the ball being caught? At the 42, right? So, I mean, great ball skills in this play by Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, tip your cap to Quinyon Mitchell, but it's like you said, this is just a play that it becomes unacceptable because it's so tight, and you can't have that. And I know, like, people have talked about, maybe defensive PI and holding and all that. Even then, like, we still can control our side of it. And so, like, they were letting a lot of hand fighting going on both sides, offensive players, defensive players. I mean, there was one, I think it was a catch Demarcus Robinson had. He runs 8 yards down the field. The guy gets his hands on him. He throws the guy off and makes the catch, and they let it go. I mean, because they looked at it, they said both guys are grabbing, both guys are touching. They let these guys play this game. And so I can't necessarily fault them for that.
I always like that, by the way. I mean, unless it's egregious, I say let him play. I think it's the better way to go. I hate when there's a play, they drop back to pass, there's an incompletion, and then like 8 seconds later, you get a flag, and you're just like, are you
After the receiver's throwing his arms up for 5 seconds and
right?
whining, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I always prefer to just let them go, but we'll see how they call the next game. I think I saw that the next crew generally lets that stuff go. I'm not totally sure if I can remember the crew off the top of my head, but nonetheless. But that's Brock Purdy. I know we've got some Eric Kendricks stuff coming up
Well,
as well.
I got a little more Brock Purdy here because we got another explosive to go through, and then the final touchdown,
Okay, all right.
the
And then, you know,
final countdown.
let's keep it rolling with the Brock stuff, and we'll get to the Eric Kendricks a little bit later.
All right, so this was to me the most impressive play of the day for Brock, because this is literally the play after George Kittle goes down, and we're going to get a massive explosive to Juwan Jennings. So what we're running here is a concept Kyle calls skids. So these are going to be widened Skinner routes, is what he calls them. So it's going to widen out to the numbers, and then it's going to break as a skinny post. We're going to do this on both sides. So widen out to the numbers, then break as a skinny post. And what this is meant to do is put a deep middle safety in a horizontal stretch. So Brock is going to read the middle safety or look him off and throw. And that's more what happens here. Is he's going to say, I like this matchup because ended up throwing a pick to this guy. But I have George Kittle out. I'm not forcing the ball to Jake Tonjes on this play. I want Juwan Jennings. So you see they bring McCaffrey in motion, and you get the deep safety. So Brock confirms the coverage, and then what he's going to do is he's going to, then you'll see it more from the end zone. His eyes are actually right down here. So he's going to pull Blankenship this way and open this up for Juwan Jennings to break inside. And here we'll stop it at the windup. This is as high level anticipation throw as you will see in the game, because here's where Juwan Jennings is. I think he catches this at the 46 around the hash. To read that this guy is going to drop out of that area in your throw to throw it that early, and then he's got to launch it over the underneath backer into this spot. This is as high level anticipation, accuracy, layered throwing as you'll see. Kyle was asked about this specific play. I think it was Matt Barrows asked him about it. And he said, Matt was like, that seems like it'd be a really hard throw from our perspective. How does Brock rank in there of, kind of making those layered throws? And Kyle kind of stopped, and he back and forth. He was like, Matt Ryan was pretty good at dropping it in a bucket, but Brock's been able to do that about as good as anybody I've ever had. So it's just a ridiculously good throw to get this in there. This is where I always struggle when people say, Kyle's scheming all these guys open so much. You go, I don't know, that's a throw. It doesn't look like during the broadcast, one of those high level throws you see these guys make where it's a laser down the field, but that's as good of a throw as you're going to see. And it sets up the huge explosive, the eye manipulation, on time. It's everything. This is Brock Purdy at his best. And when you say, okay, what does Brock Purdy do really well? This is what he does. I mean, you can see it right before the throw. I'll back it up just a little bit. We can watch his head stripe. You see that his head's pointing right down the outside of this hash is where he's looking. That's why Blankenship goes that direction. And he holds it right to the throw and then makes the throw. That's why Blankenship isn't in position. And it's why it's a big catch, big run after the catch. So just a huge play in a big moment, and it nets the team 3 points.
I talked about this on Monday's show with Vish as we were going drive through everything. I think that throw in that spot epitomizes who Brock Purdy has been for this team. When they are low, when they think, oh no, we're in trouble, when the spirits are down, Brock Purdy, from the time he came in 2022, has always said, get on my back. I'm going to pick this team up. Our season's not over in 2022. Who cares? We have 2 quarterback hurt. I'm here. We're good. Let's go. And he did it right from the jump against Miami. And obviously in the weeks to come later in the year, this is another moment. Oh my God, we're on the road in the playoffs. George Kittle's hurt. What are we going to do? Bam! First play without him. Huge explosive to Juwan Jennings. Brock, he's just always been good at that, man. Mentally, the dude is iron.
100%. I mean, it's wild. And he's been so good in the playoffs, especially when trailing. Like during the regular season, generally forces stuff isn't that great. His quarterback rating is low. Once it gets to the playoffs, he's like 120 quarterback rating when trailing. It's wild. Dude will step up in the biggest moments. And so I'm going to show it was his last 2 completions. And we're going to get into the weeds just a little bit. I'll try and keep it succinct. This is a masterclass of coaching scheme against each other. And then a quarterback navigating that and getting the ball. It's going to look simple, but this is so impressive. So we're going to start out. We motion use check over. It changes the strength. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to change the strength back. So you've gone flip-flop, flip-flop. And you're also moving McCaffrey from weak to strong to weak, and changing the strength. So what you're trying to do is, Fangio, a lot of times we'll call it Zeus 23. And what that is, that's a way to take away a certain player. And a lot of times when the guy is in the number 2 or the number 3 spot, it's going to be half field coverage over here. So it's going to be cover 2 to this side. Generally, they're going to keep 1 deep on that half and 3 underneath if it's a strong side. And the reason they do that is because if they want to take away somebody on the inside, that gives them, if this guy goes vertical, then they can bracket him outside and they can bracket him inside. And if he goes short, like McCaffrey here, then they have a way that they can account for these 2 guys, and I'll show that in a second, and they can then bracket him underneath with zones. It's not man, it's definitely a zone, but they have these calls. So what Kyle's expecting here is them to be running that. He's expecting Fangio to run half field to McCaffrey's side because he's in at the number 3 and bracket him. So what he's trying to do is he's going to run Jake Tonjes on a basic route. We're going to run Juwan Jennings on a little curl. And what you're trying to do if you're in half field is you're going to expect a cloud corner. You're trying to occupy this guy. And then you're going to have a Mike who's responsible for anything in breaking right here. So you're trying to get the Mike to match this basic. And so that leaves a half field guy with nobody to cover. And then you have a hook player that you're trying to put McCaffrey up here so he can come and run a choice route on this. So he can set that guy up. And ideally, he's going to come out, work this outside, make this guy move, get a little bit of space, and then break inside and you get a touchdown. That's what this play, from just me looking at the scouting, everything, putting it back together, is what this play is designed to do. They want to hit McCaffrey on this. That's how it's designed. But Fangio knows that. So Fangio comes back and he's going to say, well, I'm going to run quarters to this side. So now he's going to have a quarters player and 2 underneath. So we're going to run this as a little curl. They're going to take this quarters corner and match it. When Tonjes goes vertical, now he's got a quarter safety who's going to match him. And so now they're going to be able to bracket McCaffrey inside out on this choice route. And so that's how they've taken him away. And so Brock, he's expecting half field to this side, and he's got to end up reading this out, and he's got to know real quick, is this quarters or is this half? And you see these 2 guys are playing quarters. He's going to read it out. He's going to look at this guy, say, okay, this guy's shaded over. This is gone. McCaffrey's not there anymore. And so he's got to immediately snap and work backside where we're running a flag. This is a cover 2 beater over here because he knows if I got quarters this side, then I'm going to have half to this side. And so we're running use check on what's called a drag China and Robinson on a corner route. And so Brock sees that, he moves, boom, and he just flips his hips and nails this throw in between these 2 guys. So he's going to hold use check away from Blankenship, who's sitting as the hook, and he hits this throw in the void to set you up now inside the 5-yard line. Super impressive play. But I mean, that's like coaching scheme going against each other. Offensive guy has a really good design against what the defensive guy normally does. Defensive guy knows he's going to attack what he normally does. He calls something else. Your quarterback still works backside. I love that stuff.
Right. And so it's everything that you want if you're the 49ers. You've got Kyle Shanahan with superior coaching, even against a great defensive coordinator who maybe, is on him a little bit, but Kyle's play has a built-in answer somewhere else. And your quarterback's processing is so good, he's able to take advantage of the fact that Kyle had an answer built in because he's able to process one side of the field so quickly and work back to the other side.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I remember working through that play, and I was just like, this is football scheme heaven. Shanahan and Fangio and all this stuff going on. This is awesome. So now, okay, so they showed you quarters on this side last time, right? With McCaffrey over here. So now what you're going to do is you're going to have a play where you got a little curl bender in here. You're going to have a little under bender in here. What you're trying to do is what they did last time. You want this guy to match. You're going to try and get the other quarter safety to match because they're going to expect McCaffrey, these guys to bracket McCaffrey. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take Jake Tonjes. This was George Kittle on the install. And they're going to run him on a backline crossing route. And from there, then you take Kendrick Bourne, you run him on a little basic route. He's going to come in here because they're expecting then cover 2 to this side. So you would say, okay, if the only way that Kittle's taken away, what we think is Blankenship's got to match him. And he's got to cover him really well. Okay, that should leave this basic open. So the only way they can match that is the safety's got to match it, right? Because this corner's got to play outside. He's got to respect something outside. So what are we going to do to beat that? We're going to take McCaffrey and run him on this drag China from across the formation. So you're dictating the same coverage you saw before because you got a beater for it. And you got a way to work it. But Brock's going to work this 1 to 2 to 3 from Tonjes to Bourne to McCaffrey. And again, this is just football scheme at its highest levels because they're going to, you can see him. He's looking over here to try and draw these guys down and see if they'll sit so he can make this throw. It's kind of muddy. I don't love that. These guys are ready to back out here. So he's going to move on. He's going to say, okay, move to this side. What's back here? He can undercut that. Don't love that. And getting pressure off the edge. So he's going to step this up and hit your third answer on the play, where it opens up just as you would expect it to. If they've taken away 1 and 2, 3 should be there to work through it in the progression on time, feel the pressure coming up, climb the pocket, go make the throw. I'm getting excited.
I mean, to go through all that processing while feeling the rush and stepping up and getting away from it is like, it's just a millionth example of why a quarterback's job is so hard. And I loved Trent Williams' response because there's a lot of Eagle fans that say that was holding on Trent. And Trent's response was, I didn't see any flag. And if you're not speeding, if you get a ticket.
Hey, for as many times as we've watched Patrick Mahomes' tackles hold people in the playoffs and it not be called, I don't give 2 craps what the Eagles fans say about that and how many times we've seen Lane Johnson getting a half-second start on the snap. I don't want to hear it.
A wise 49ers coach once said, bummer. And that is exactly the response I have to Eagles fans. Tough in that spot. Credit to Brock for going through the progressions, finding Christian McCaffrey in the end zone for what would be the go-ahead score. Now, it would only be the go-ahead score because the 49ers defense had to make a stop on the final possession. We're going to get to some breakdown of Eric Kendricks, and thank God for that man in a second. But before we do, just want to give a shout-out to Sleeper. We know Sleeper is a sponsor of the show. If you've been watching, you've seen us do it all year long. We are so grateful to them for hopping on board. And we go and we recommend that you try them out. Go download the app, sign up, and as it says on your screen, you'll get a free $20 entry. You can go and have some fun. And if you do have fun and you want to deposit some money, use our code GSP, and you'll get a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So again, use our code GSP, and I'll show you the app here really quick on the phone. You can see it's pretty simple. You can make your picks. Obviously, they have NFL, but they also have other sports as we are getting towards the end of the football season. You just pick higher or lower on a bunch of different categories. You can see it there: touchdowns, receptions, passing yards, whatever you want. And if you get your picks right, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's that simple. So again, use our code GSP. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. So check out Sleeper today. All right, Johnny, let's get into some. Enough of this offensive stuff. It's playoff football. I want hard-nosed defensive stuff. What do we got here?
Oh, we got signed not too long ago. Middle linebacker, career up to this point, will linebacker, Eric Kendricks, who's coming in and plays a heck of a game. I mean, this is an Eagles team that historically has run the ball really well. I get it. They haven't run the ball great this year, but you're going to see him. One thing that stood out was he has such a faster trigger on recognizing runs and getting to his run fits. Tatum Bethune, just the game is still moving really fast for him. And that was a huge difference in this game. The Eagles are going to come. They're going to run a little inside zone here. Okay. So they're going to work a combo block here on Jordan Elliott with the center and Landon Dickerson, one of the best guards in the league. And they're going to work up to Eric Kendricks. Watch the trigger that Eric Kendricks has on this. He's moving downhill the whole way, and then he's going to read this run, and he's going to take on the blocker with his inside shoulder to the blocker's outside shoulder. That is textbook run fit from a linebacker on a blocker, because if in doubt, you funnel that guy back to any help you have, and you get in here and you stuff the run, and he gets in on this tackle. Now, some of this, it looks like from the first glance that he just tosses Landon Dickerson down. That's not exactly what happened. Dickerson's feet get caught up with Jordan Elliott's, but the reason that even happens is because he's moving vertically down against this run. And so Dickerson doesn't have an opportunity to go get him. He's going to go meet Dickerson at the hole. He steps up in here, and he's going to take this block on outside shoulder of the blocker, his inside shoulder. Love it. Love that. And that that allows Jordan Elliott to pinch this down, and their feet get caught up here. And Landon Dickerson just looks like he gets tossed to the ground on that shed. But love it. It's you're condensing the space that the offense has to run the ball. We have been missing that for a while, and its wire run defense can be feast or famine. When they trigger well, our linebackers trigger well against the run, we start shutting runs down. When they don't, then that's when they start second guessing that play action and all that stuff. That's when things start to look really unfortunate against on our run defense. Patrick Willis mentioned this on their pod. He was talking about Tatum Bethune and D Winters. He goes, I feel like those guys are still a little bit slow on the trigger. You know, they got to speed up that trigger a little bit to get in there for some of those run fits. Once they do that, we'll be all right. You know, but like it was really clear from the film, those guys were just a little bit slow on the trigger.
I was really impressed with Kendricks and Wallow in this game. Kendricks, as I went back and rewatched it, there were so many plays where I'm like, man, if that tackle doesn't get made, we're in trouble. And every time I looked, it was Kendricks was the guy making the tackle. There was a little screen pass to Saquon Barkley where he is like dodging and weaving guys. And there's one dude left that could tackle him to stop a touchdown. And it's Eric Kendricks, and he made the stop. I was so impressed. We have a question from Mike Ua who says, if Warner plays, can Kendricks play beside him?
That's a really interesting question. It's something I've been thinking about for a little while. And it's the only thing I think could keep Fred out of this game is that, because Kendricks historically throughout his career has been a weak side linebacker, the will linebacker. He talked about that in the presser after this game. He's like, yeah, I came in here and I'm having to learn a new position. That's because he's historically been a will throughout his whole career, and now he's playing Mike. But he's spent his time here with the 49ers learning Mike. I don't know how much of the will he actually knows. Of the ins and outs of that. I think he would be a quick study on it, but do you spend a week of preparation, a short week, getting Kendricks ready and Fred Warner maybe not being able to play? Or do you say, okay, we can get Fred in here. You have a week that we know Fred's going to play this week, and so you can dedicate this entire week of just the game plan for the will. That's a really interesting question, and it brings up a lot of things. It's not just a guy slides over and he's playing a linebacker spot. There's a lot of nuance into how to play these positions. When you do that, it can really bite you in the rear end in the playoffs if you try and make a move like that and the guys are not ready. That's a question that they know inside the building, but they will not tell any of us. We will see on Saturday.
There's a shock.
Yeah. This is a play we all loved. Marquise Siegel coming in here and on this blitz and blowing up Saquon Barkley. But I want to point out this play doesn't happen if you don't have one Eric Kendricks slip this block from, again, Landon Dickerson, one of the best guards in the league. He's going to slip this block, get in here. That's where Saquon would just be full head of steam right in here. And Siegel would be trying to tackle him and drag him down somewhere around this area. Right, like it's going to be some sort of an abomination right there of like grabbing him by the hips and falling down. But Saquon's going to stop his hips because he sees Eric Kendricks slip in here and be right in the hole. So that's where he's trying to cut away from, and that's why that hit is so devastating. So we love. Go ahead.
All right, not to jump in on you. When I saw that hit live, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I was worried Saquon might be really hurt because just the way he went. Bam! And right down. And you don't see Saquon do that a lot. And he goes to the sideline. He's like holding his leg. He injured Saquon Barkley's quad. I didn't think anything could affect Saquon Barkley's quad, but you got Eagle coming in there 1,000 miles an hour and just blasted him.
And that's what you love, right? Because this is now team run fits. He's going to see it. He's going to slip the block, get into his gap. And that's what allows this hit to happen because Saquon's trying to dodge Eric Kendricks, who's right in the hole. And so it's all these things that add up. Just a veteran presence, being able to recognize this is a dude that's got a lot of snaps underneath him. He understands how to read that line, how to read run pass, how to drop down, when to trigger. Like that is a huge difference. I mean, this is clearly a guy who he looks like a guy who has 160 more starts than Tatum Bethune. I mean, that's just what he looks like.
It's amazing that he was available and out there. It does make you think like, damn, this is what Kyle saw. This is why Kyle wanted him last year. This is why they signed him. And then he unsigned and went to the Cowboys and we got stuck with Devondre Quitter Campbell.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And now this year we got Devondre Ayuk. But it's, we almost now forgive Kendricks, but there's the other side is the veteran presence to remember what you've seen come before and attack it as the game goes. So this is backing up. I think this is the first quarter, second quarter. You're going to see they got Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith out here. Okay. They're in this nasty bunch. Nasty is a term, I'm not meaning it's gross or anything. And they're going to run what's called the spot concept is their version of it. So Goddard's going to come up here. This can be a corner route. That's how it generally is. It can be an in breaker. It can sit down. That's how they teach this with their version of snag or spot. So you get this corner route that has a side adjust. You're going to get Devontae Smith on a little snag or spot route, and then you have a flat route. And so this is a real classic passing concept. So we're going to see this run. They get some yards on it. They're going to throw it here. Boom. There it opens up in the void here between Kendricks and Wallow, right? So they stretch this out and they get this little spot throw. Okay. So now we're going to fast forward about 50 plays. So same formation. Okay. This is 2-minute drill. They're going to run Dallas Goedert on this same route that can break in. It can do all these things. Same concept, spot concept. And they're going to run this same thing out. Okay. So you see it coming. Kendricks is going to work this. Oh, they threw it to the spot again. So Kendricks comes up, makes the tackle. Okay. Very next play. So this is first down near the end of the game. What do you see? Same formation to this side. Now, all they've done is that on the top, where'd my mouse go for a second? My mouse stopped working. Man, literally, it stopped working.
Devondre Campbell of mouse.
Yeah.
Your battery's died.
Battery. No, it's a fresh battery. That doesn't make any sense. This is embarrassing. Okay, I'll just draw it on my pad here. You see, this is out here. Oh, this is going to be terrible. Sorry, I got a backup mouse.
All right,
we're putting the backup in.
This is it. Speaking of that, really quick, since we're talking about the linebackers, I gave Johnny Holland credit, and I should also want to make sure I get this right. KJ Wright needs to get a ton of credit for getting these linebackers ready to go. What Saleh said was Johnny Holland's responsible for the linebackers, that are going to play in the game, and the assistant coach, which is KJ Wright, is responsible for anybody that's new to the team and getting them up to speed. Well, obviously, Wallow and Kendricks were new to the team. KJ Wright had a ton of work that he was putting in with those guys after practice. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as well, give him a little love, because clearly it paid off, as we saw in this game in the big moments.
Yeah. So sorry about that. So what are the Eagles going to do here? This is the same formation. They're going to run this same thing. All right. Here's that corner, a side adjust route. You're going to run a little snag route, and you're going to run a little flat route. So now it's first down in the most important moment of the game. Eric Kendricks has seen this happen twice before. And now he says, okay, I'm ready for this. And watch the trigger on this thing to go get this spot route. So he runs out here. He's ready to go get it. So when Hurts looks at it, he says, oh, no, I can't make that throw. So he pulls the ball now because you were able to mentally log the formation. That shows a guy whose mind is not moving too fast. He's able to digest what he's seeing. He goes and gets it. And now little honorary mention here for Keon White. He saves a play here because Jalen's got room to run, and he goes and makes the tackle. But this is what we talk about, the marriage of pass rush and coverage, that your coverage has to hold up long enough for your pass rush to get home. And you can see the trigger on it. He recognizes this thing coming out, and he's going to go get this thing and make Jalen pull the ball. That is a veteran linebacker in the biggest moment.
It just goes to show, too, like nothing happens in a vacuum. It is so rare where one guy just makes a totally incredible play completely on their own. You mentioned the coverage adjusting, giving the pass rush time, and Keon makes that sack. And not only does he stop him from gaining the 10 yards, they actually lose a yard. So now they're behind the sticks the rest of the way on the chains. It was a massive, massive play in the game.
Yeah, I mean, because that was the first time they had the fourth down. So we had two moments where we had to end it, and they both started where we got them to fourth down by making a good stop on first down. First down is so important. It's the most important down in football, I would say, of if you can get that going. But here we're going to show this mug look. Now, I'm sure that the Eagles were like, we're pretty certain they don't like to go to run all out blitz on these, but they're just running 3-jet all go. I would give the Eagles a little bit harder time on this because this is like Madden, just running 4 verticals, right? But I will say people have given a hard time on this. You go back to the catch 2, Steve Young to Terrell Owens against the Packers, wild card round, right? The play call on that? 3-jet all go versus quarters. This is 3-jet all go versus quarters. So it's not impossible to, and actually Steve Young, it wasn't Owens on this side. He was to Steve Young's right. If I remember right. That was the catch he made. It's the same targeted throw. This is crazy. This is history repeating itself, but not with the same outcomes 27 years later. But we're going to drop this out. This is where, again, Kendricks just so smart. He's going to drop this out. And once he sees Saquon stay in, this comes back to your film study of their 2-minute offense. Now that every time Saquon stays in, that this is going to be a mirrored concept, meaning it's a pick a side. So it's a PAS read. It's going to be whatever they do on one side is going to be the same on the other. And it's going to be a read based off the mic, usually in cover 4. So this is like all of that veteran presence triggering in this moment to say, as he's bailing out, he said he peeked back and he saw Saquon stay in. And so he knows he's down this hash and he sees a vertical coming down this and he goes, okay, I know this throw now is coming to the other hash. And again, he said it in the press release. I saw Saquon stay in and knew I had to get to the other hash because he knows this bender's coming around here on this vertical, that they teach these guys to bend inside the safety on that vertical. That's what T.O. did. And the throw's made. I mean, Jalen Hurts is reading this out and he's saying, okay, I'm going to have this open down this hash because the mic shaded to the other hash. Well, he saw it early recognition. That's so key to then jump this throw and go break it up to take the 49ers to the divisional round. Let's go.
Such a good play. He's just there in time to make a play, to tip it away. And it was so satisfying, because how many times, Johnny, have we seen the 49ers be in a spot where if they could just get one defensive stop, it's a fourth down. If we could just get one more stop on one more play, we win. It didn't happen in the Super Bowl, obviously, but it sure as hell felt good to have it happen here in Philadelphia against the defending champs in the playoffs to end their season. This one felt good.
And hasn't that been, if there's one identifier, if I would say, what is the identity of this defense this year? They close. Is it from week 1 to wild card round? What are the two common denominators? The defense got to stop in the red zone to get the team the win. They did it against the Saints. They've done it all season long. When the offense has given them a lead with 2 minutes left to go, they have not given up a lead. They've done it 5 times this year. The biggest difference between this year and last year, Nick Sorensen coached the worst fourth quarter scoring defense in the league. If you go back to the second game against Seattle last year, because everybody says Mike McDonald's got Kyle Shanahan's number. I said Mike McDonald's got a very talented defense, for one. 2, the 49ers were leading the game in the fourth quarter, but Geno Smith went right down the field against the 49ers and scored what was the game-winning touchdown with 17 seconds left in the game.
The Niners were outscored by 77 points last year in the fourth quarter alone. 77 points they were outscored by. That last year ain't this year, baby.
And what was the problem in the Super Bowl was they got outscored in the fourth quarter. They got outscored in overtime, because when the offense gave them a lead, the defense could not hold. Robert Saleh, if there is a game that has ever meant more to the 49ers' future, it is this game right now, because Ian Rappaport said it himself. Many of these coaching hires, head coaching searches, are going to be filled by middle of next week, is what he expects to happen. If Robert Saleh is still on the 49ers' staff by that time, that is your best chance of keeping him, is by him having to prepare for another team and not be able to go do in-person interviews.
Saleh said yesterday at the podium, I don't have any interviews until Sunday. Well, guess what? I think it was Ian Rappaport reported today. No, actually, he does have interviews today with the Dolphins, I believe. And yeah, just with the Dolphins. But that, like, it moves fast. And I used to work on Pro Football Talk. I was working with Kevin Gilbride, who used to be the coordinator of the Giants. And the Giants were making a deep playoff run. And he had been talking with the Cardinals. And the Cardinals were like, yeah, we want to hire you. But the Giants kept winning. And so I think it was when they went to the Super Bowl that year, he was on the bus, after the game. And he got a call from the Cardinals being like, hey, you just won. Congratulations, but we can't wait. So we're hiring somebody else. And he didn't get the job. So it was like a weird thing for him. He's like, hey, great. We're winning. But also, I just lost a chance at a promotion.
And it also underscores how winning deep into the playoffs can help you retain your staff a little bit. That's one of the reasons why Andy Reid had been able to retain his staff. It's only when a guy, like, it's certain that somebody wants that guy and you don't make it all the way. That's what happened with D'Amico, right? Was that they didn't quite get to the Super Bowl. And so the Texans had that window to hire him. Robert Saleh got hired away the year after the 49ers went to the Super Bowl. It was 2020 when they didn't make the playoffs. He was able to go through the interview process and went to the Jets. Your best chances of keeping him are by keeping him in the building, coordinating that defense for at least another week. This game has so many huge implications.
Oh, come on. One more time, baby. Let's go into Seattle. Find a way to get it done. I'm so excited. I can't wait to watch it. And whatever happens, good, bad, or ugly, we will be here breaking it down with you. Speaking of breakdowns, if you want more incredible film breakdowns, check out Johnny's channel on YouTube, Johnny Dale Football Academy. It will make you a better, smarter fan. It is a football buffet. There's so much good stuff up there. I highly recommend you go and check it out. Johnny, thank you as always. Please, everybody, like this video, subscribe to the channel. to get our daily picks or our picks on Friday, I should say, weekly picks. You get live shows every single weekday. If you subscribe on the audio side, we do a 5-minute 49ers update every morning with injury reports, press conference clips, everything you need to know to be up to date on the goings on with our Niners. Have a good day, everybody. We'll talk tomorrow.